What's up, horror lovers? Ever felt safe behind a library desk? Thinking the worst you'd face was a late book return? Well, think again. Tonight's story reminds us that even the most ordinary places could be hiding something unforgettably sinister. Buckle up, because what starts off as a regular shift at a college library turns into a night this girl will never forget. It begins with a headache. She's a friendly student clerk, working late at a Midwest University library. The usual: checking out books, helping lost freshmen find the bathroom, and chatting up regulars. That night, around 9 p.m., one of those regulars, Mark, stops by. Big guy, easygoing, works in another department. She tells him she's not feeling great, and he wishes her well before heading off. But as Mark leaves, someone else steps in. And this dude, he's got that vibe, that off feeling you get when your gut tells you something's wrong. The man stares, smiling way too long. She's seen him before, always hanging in the cafe, flipping through the newspaper like some background extra. Mid-30s, clean clothes, not someone you'd peg as dangerous at first glance. He says he overheard she's not feeling well and offers to grab her a drink from the vending machine. Polite but odd, she declines. That's when he offers to walk her to her car. That's when the red flags go full siren. She's stuck, alone, trapped, no other coworkers around. The library's thinning out. Spring semester nights tend to do that. Her favorite supervisor isn't working, and calling for help might tip him off. She can't risk escalating this face-to-face, so she plays it cool, turns around, starts wiping down the desk just to look busy, just to think. That's when she hears it. Keyboard clicks. Her blood runs cold. She turns, and this creep has opened her Facebook, her personal tab. Somehow, in less than a minute, he found it. Her name, her face, her life. Aquatic_19. He reads aloud, grinning like a snake in a suit. No shame, just smug satisfaction. Like this was a game and he just leveled up. She snaps. That's private. He leans in, close enough to smell his cologne. It's a public computer, he argues. Like that gives him the right. His hand reaches for her arm. That's when she knows it's about to go south. She tenses, ready to yell, when suddenly Mark reappears. The sound of his footsteps is thunder in a dead silent room. He saw her face in the stairwell, saw the fear, and he immediately gets in this guy's face. Mark, all 6 foot something of muscle and fury, tells the creep to forget her name, forget her face, and get the hell out. The guy backs off, smirking like a cartoon villain. Just try and make friends. He says, yeah, sure. Then the mask slips. He turns, middle finger raised, calling her ugly before storming off. The same girl he just tried to stalk, and possibly worse. Because deep down, guys like this don't want friends. They want control. They want fear. And tonight, he didn't get it. Mark stays behind, covers the desk while she heads upstairs to tell her boss. Security checks the footage, and yeah, it's him, a former student, one with a history. Turns out he's been reported before. For stalking, for creeping, for lurking. He's not supposed to be there. But he keeps coming back, like a ghost that refuses to stay buried. The police? They vanish. She called campus cops, told them everything, and they said they'd follow up. They didn't. Not really. Weeks passed, and she never heard back. It's almost like this guy knew that, like he counted on it. That's the scariest part. Mark doesn't take chances now. Every night she works, he stops by, sometimes just to check in, sometimes just to sit nearby. And even though she says she's fine, they both know better. Once someone's crossed that line, you never really look at empty hallways the same again. It's not the building that changed. It's her. Now every cough behind a bookshelf, every footstep echo, every flicker of fluorescent light sets off something inside her. Hyper alert, always scanning, always ready. Because the scariest part being watched is knowing it can happen again. And it wasn't just her Facebook. Later, she found out the guy had followed her on Instagram too, from a burner account. That account had liked photos from years back, had commented once, then deleted it. He knew where she worked, what hours she kept, and probably what car she drove. She never parks in the same spot twice anymore. Libraries aren't supposed to be haunted. They're places of learning, of quiet, of safety. But evil doesn't knock anymore. It scrolls, it clicks, it stares through the screen. The digital age gave creeps new masks to wear. And now, nowhere feels completely safe. So next time someone offers you a soda or seems a little too interested in your night shift schedule, trust your gut. You're not being rude. You're being smart. Because sometimes behind a polite smile and small talk hides a predator waiting to pounce. You ever get that feeling like someone's watching you? Yeah, it's a cliche, but sometimes it's dead on. This story comes from a quiet little town on the west coast of Newfoundland, Canada. Peaceful, friendly, the kind of place where doors stayed unlocked and the biggest crime was overdue books. But let me ask you, what happens when evil doesn't come charging in, but just waddles quietly through the door? This is a true story of a girl, a library, and the man the locals called Turtle Guy. And trust me, the only thing slower than his steps was how long it took people to realize something was very wrong. She was 16 when she first started volunteering at the town library. It was a cozy place with mismatched carpets, the musty scent of old pages, and that sleepy silence only libraries seem to have. Her co-workers were sweet, mostly older women who doted on her like she was their own daughter. But as she worked the aisles and helped patrons with overdue fees, one figure kept popping up, awkward, pigeon-toed, bobbing his head like a bird. Everyone knew him. Everyone called him Turtle Guy. Nobody knew his real name. Nobody wanted to. At first, he was just a harmless oddball. He'd shuffle in every day, smile at the front desk, and sign up for computer lessons with the CAP intern. A pretty, soft-spoken girl who always seemed a little too nice for her own good. Turtle Guy never missed a class. He brought her candy bars. He asked strange, personal questions. What's your favorite movie? Do you live alone? Got any pets? The intern laughed it off at first, but by the time her internship ended, she couldn't get out fast enough. And that's when his attention shifted from one petite girl to another, our storyteller. She was 19 by then, but looked 14. Small, quiet, polite. Perfect prey. Turtle Guy started hanging around her shelves. He'd stand too close, ask about school, try to guess her age. He always knew her first name. She wore a badge, but when he asked for her last, she lied. Still, that didn't stop him. It was like he was trying to peel her identity away, one detail at a time. The smile he wore never reached his eyes. And when he watched her, he never blinked. You look so sad when you walk through town, he told her one day, as she restocked the kids section. You don't seem confident. I can see it in your shoulders. He said it like he was giving her advice, but it chilled her to the bone. How did he know what she looked like walking around town? How long had he been watching her when she thought she was alone? The more she saw him, the more she realized he wasn't just strange. He was studying her. It got worse when she volunteered to paint the walls in the children's room. Bright murals, playful animals, little quotes about reading. She'd put on her headphones, crank up her iPod, and lose herself in the work. That's when he'd strike. Quiet footsteps, breath against her neck. She wouldn't hear him coming, but she'd feel it, the weight of his gaze pressing down on her. Her brush would tremble mid-stroke, and when she turned, he'd be there, just standing, just staring. One day, she could hear him breathing, even through the music. Heavy, slow, right behind her. She froze, pretended not to notice, waited for him to say something, anything. He didn't, just stood there, breathing, watching. Minutes passed. Her skin crawled. The smell of old sweat clung to the air. Finally, he left, but the silence he left behind, it screamed. From that moment on, she never painted without constantly looking over her shoulder. The final straw came when she was painting a welcome sign above the front entrance. To reach the wall, she had to block off the main doors, stand on a ladder, and balance with her back exposed to whoever passed through the narrow porch. She popped in her earbuds and got to work. Oblivious, vulnerable. She didn't hear Turtle Guy come in, but someone else did. A co-worker, Jay, was watching from the desk. She saw him standing just inches behind the ladder, and then he raised his hand. It hovered there, inches from her, fingers outstretched, aimed directly at her backside. Jay called out his name sharply. He snapped out of it, dropped his hand, smiled, walked away. She never saw the gesture. She just kept painting. But when Jay told her afterward what almost happened, what would have happened if she had intervened, her stomach dropped. She stopped listening to music at work. She stopped trusting silence. And to this day, she doesn't let anyone stand behind her. The creepy didn't stop there. Whenever her boyfriend showed up to walk her home, Turtle Guy would glare at him with a hatred that ran deep. He didn't say a word, but his eyes screamed jealousy, rage, something feral. Her boyfriend mentioned it more than once. That guy hates me. It was like Turtle Guy thought she belonged to him, like he'd staked a claim and couldn't stand anyone else near her. Every time she saw that look, her skin crawled. Then came the revelation. Turtle Guy had a past. Years before, he'd been obsessed with another librarian. He used to follow her around, listen to her read. But when she stopped giving him attention, he snapped, slapped her, right there in the library. He was banned for a while, but eventually they let him back on one condition. He had to stay on his medication. Nobody ever said what the meds were for. But now she wondered if he'd stopped taking them, if he'd ever really started. The library tried to play it safe. They kept watch, warned each other when he came in, but he was never overt, never loud, just always there, quiet, creeping, watching. He never broke the rules, just bent them, stretched them, pulled them until they were too twisted to hold him accountable. He was smart, patient, and that made him even more terrifying. Because how do you report someone for being almost a predator? Eventually, she left the job, moved to the city, tried to forget, but some things don't stay buried. To this day, she flinches when someone walks too close behind her. She avoids ladders in public places, and she never wears headphones outdoors. Turtle Guy never touched her, never hurt her, but he got too close, and that was enough to scar her forever. Some people say evil wears a mask, but what if it doesn't? What if it just strolls in every day at 2 p.m., signs a visitor sheet, and smiles like it belongs? Turtle Guy wasn't a monster from a horror movie. He wasn't a serial killer. He wasn't even violent. But that's what makes him so terrifying, because he could be anyone. And chances are you've already met someone just like him. You just didn't realize it. So next time you're in a quiet place, library, bookstore, even your own school, and you feel eyes on you, don't shrug it off. Don't tell yourself you're being paranoid. Some shadows don't need to move fast to catch up with you. Sometimes they're already right behind you, watching, waiting, breathing. Sleep tight, horror lovers. You ever had a day so normal it lulled you into thinking nothing bad could happen? That's exactly how this one started. A college campus, a shift at the cafeteria, a walk to the library. It all sounds so ordinary, but trust me, evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it asks you for the time. And sometimes it follows you into places where you thought you were safe. So picture this. Our protagonist, a tired 19-year-old with long curly hair and sore arms from hauling trays and scrubbing floors, just wanted to check his email. No parties, no drama, just a screen and silence. But standing outside the library was a man who didn't quite fit the scenery. He had a watch, yet asked the time. He stood right beneath a towering campus clock, yet looked confused. Eyes too big, forehead too high, smile too calm. That should have been the first clue. But exhaustion makes us all a little blind, right? The guy follows him into the library. Still, nothing too crazy. Coincidences happen. People ride elevators. But it's when they step off the third floor that things take a left turn. The man stops him again. Says he's doing an assignment. Something about comparing foot size to forearm length. Sounds silly, but just plausible enough to be real. Science class, he says. No course name, no professor, just science. Classic move, vague, innocent, disarming. Now here's where things get uncomfortable. Despite the red flags, our guy agrees. And look, we've all been there. Too tired to fight, too drained to argue, just nodding along so people go away. They sit in a corner. The man stares at his foot. Not measures, not compares, just stares. Then the breathing changes. It's heavier, rhythmic, that kind of breathing that makes your skin crawl, even if you don't understand why. Grunting, watching, breathing. That's when it hits him. This isn't about science. Panic sets in like a sudden winter. Shoes in hand, our protagonist bolts barefoot to the library, heart pounding like a war drum. He doesn't stop at the door. He runs, 5 floors up, ducking into the shadows, hiding like prey. He waits and waits, but the man never follows. Maybe he didn't need to. Maybe he'd already gotten what he came for. Sometimes, predators don't need to catch you. They just need to watch you squirm. Days pass. Weeks. The sting of shame doesn't fade. He's mad, not just at the creep, but at himself. How could he fall for such an obvious trick? But fate, ever so twisted, hands him a chance. Scrolling through Facebook, he spots a familiar face, bug-eyed and all too real. A mutual friends list, wide open, careless. And there it is, an AIM screen name, a handle, a gateway. Revenge doesn't always come in blood. Sometimes it logs in. He makes a fake account. A flirty sorority girl. Stereotypical, bubbly, fake as plastic. But the bait works. The creep takes it. Conversations bloom, full of sugar-coated lies and digital smiles. Then comes the setup, a list of weird kinks. Just casual. Just curious. Feet buried in the middle. And the man, he recoils. Plays dumb. Feet? Gross, he says. The hypocrisy drips like slime from a sewer grate. He's ashamed. That's a win. But the final blow was still to come. In their next chat, she mentions a party. Someone there knows him, she says. Someone said he used to get off on feet. On campus. The mask falls off. His response is desperate, flailing. It was a psychology class, he claims. The story shifts. It was just once. He blames it on some hairy Mexican guy. Projection, denial, cowardice. And just like that, the trap slams shut. No more replies. The game ends. After that, the man becomes a ghost, a background character. He shows up at the cafeteria from time to time, never speaking, never meeting his eyes. Maybe it's coincidence. Maybe not. But they never talk again. And that silence, that's louder than any scream. Because some monsters don't live in nightmares. They live in libraries. They wear watches. They breathe heavy when no one else is listening. So next time someone asks you for the time beneath a clock tower, look closer. Sometimes, evil doesn't want to hurt you. Sometimes, it just wants to watch. And sometimes, if you're not careful, it gets exactly what it came for. Ready for a little trip down memory lane? You know, the kind where you take a detour straight into hell. Today's story begins with something simple, harmless, even. A long road trip, some dusty audiobooks, and a quiet public library. Sounds peaceful, right? Yeah, not for long. Our storyteller just wanted to kill time during a drive. Instead, they walked right into a nightmare that had been festering in silence, tucked away behind stacks of forgotten books. The library itself was small and a little outdated, the kind of place where time feels like it slows down. You know, the type, flickering fluorescence, that faint musty smell of old paper, and air conditioning that never quite works. The librarian, sweet and gray-haired, pointed them to a side room where the audiobooks were kept. Innocent enough, but as they walked through 2 long corridors of books, something shifted. The deeper they went, the quieter it became, like the library was holding its breath. At the far back of the library, tucked behind a pair of heavy doors, was a medium-sized study room. One of several, apparently. It was empty, or so it seemed. The room was dimly lit, and a bit too cold compared to the rest of the building. On the left, a full wall of books on tape beckoned, and our storyteller got a browsing. 5 minutes pass. Nothing, just that eerie silence pressing in. Then a whisper, low and guttural. "Fuck you, fuck off." It slithered through the air like a voice from a dying man's throat. They turned slowly, heart-skipping. That's when they saw him. A man, disheveled mid-30s, slumped in a chair against the far wall. His eyes were vacant, lifeless, like two pale marbles sunk too deep into his skull. He held a book in his lap, unmoving, unread. His lips were barely moving, but the air around him vibrated with something wrong. Our storyteller did what any rational person would do. Pretended to ignore it, tried to stay calm, and kept browsing. But you could feel it, right? That pressure, like the room itself wanted you out. The whispers came again, louder now. "Oh God, oh fuck, oh shit, oh Christ," over and over, like some kind of prayer for the damned. That voice wasn't just panicked. It was decaying, rotten. Every syllable was like an insect crawling over bare skin. Our storyteller's instincts finally took control. They picked a random audiobook, turned around, and walked slowly toward the exit. The walls felt closer. The lights felt dimmer. Something in that room wasn't right. But right as they reached the doorframe, they looked back, and there he was, still in the chair, still not moving. But this time, his head was tilted just a bit too far. His eyes locked onto theirs with a dead-eyed stare that stripped the warmth from the bones. He wasn't just looking. He was seeing, like he was watching from beneath the surface of something else. Something hungry. He didn't blink, didn't breathe, just sat there, silent and grinning. The kind of grin you only see on something that's tasted blood and liked it. Our storyteller stepped out and never looked back. But of course, the story didn't end there. A few weeks later, a friend, a paramedic, dropped a bombshell. That same man had been taken to the hospital after vomiting blood all over the table in that study room. Apparently, he had hepatitis C. The librarians who rushed to clean up the mess, they had to be tested, monitored. Just being near him was a health hazard. And the real kicker? The guy had a rap sheet. Jail time for stabbing people. Not once, twice. This wasn't just some disturbed drifter. He was a walking red flag. Let's be real. What was he doing in that library in the first place? And why that room? It's almost like he was waiting, not reading, not researching, just waiting. For who? For what? That's the question, isn't it? Some folks say evil has a look, a smell, a presence. But sometimes it just whispers in a quiet corner of a forgotten place. And when it stares, it doesn't blink. It watches until you notice, and then it never forgets you. Hold on, Porqueo Pyrene of MAI, because here's the thing. That room, it stayed open. No official notice, no warning to patrons. They cleaned the blood, scrubbed the vomit, replaced the carpet, and called it a day. But anyone who steps in there says the same thing now. It's colder. The lights flicker more. And sometimes, just sometimes, if you're real quiet, you can still hear the whisper. Fuck you. Fuck off. Oh God. Oh fuck. On loop, like a curse trapped in the drywall. So next time you wander into the back of an old library, especially one with forgotten study rooms and unlabeled doors, listen. Really listen. If you hear whispering, even faintly, walk away. Don't look back. Don't turn around. Because something might be staring. And it's not reading. It's remembering.